Hey folks, Machinery Pete here. I pointed my pickup west today to Adrian, Minnesota, down I-90, and I'm here with Gary Reker. And folks, an amazing sale coming up August 3rd here in Adrian, Minnesota for Reker Construction and Aggregate. And Gary, thanks for having me out today.
You're welcome, Pete.
Well,
Thanks for inviting me.
Well, it's great to be here, and our friends with Jeff Martin Auctioneers are having the sale. It's a live sale, correct, Gary?
Correct.
With, of course, online bidding, and Jeff Martin Auctioneers do a fantastic job there. But folks, you can see the line of equipment behind me here, and kind of an American success story here with what Gary Reker built, Reker Construction. Gary, you got your start, gosh, back in the late 70s, was it?
1978.
1978. And you were a farm boy from out here around Adrian,
Yes,
right?
correct.
Okay. And by the way, folks, despite the amazing line of Caterpillar equipment behind me, Gary and I were just chatting about was it a Super M?
Super MTA.
Super MTA. Now you're not selling, you're keeping that.
I'm keeping that.
Okay.
Yes.
And you have is it a 1-row or 2-row corn picker?
2-row 2MH corn picker, mounted corn picker.
2MH. So farm boy to the core here, folks. And I'm trying to prompt Gary to get me cell phone video of that thing picking, because I know that will blow up our YouTube channel. But wow, quite a sale here, Gary. You're just retiring after 45 years in business?
Yes, sir. I'm just going to retire, Pete. I'm almost 71. Time it's to pull the plug.
Well, you look great. You're very young. I'll have to twist your arm to come help me with our Machinery Pete business on the construction side, Gary. But yeah, talk about how you got started back in the late 70s. As gosh, you were still in your 20s.
I was 26 years old and I bought a road grader for $15,000 and just did that for a couple of years, did some township work, and eventually just started picking up a little more work. So I got some more equipment, and just kind of from there, it just kind of took off.
Wow.
Took a long time, but we got her done.
What was the first road grader that you purchased? Do you remember, Gary?
It was an old Wabco 666, had
Sure.
a screaming Detroit motor in it.
Nice. 15K?
15,000 is what I paid for
That must have felt like a ton back when you were, what, 26 or 7 years
Yeah,
old?
that was, I thought that was a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
Big money, yep.
Wow. And now you grew Reker Construction and Aggregate here over the decades. What was your the kind of jobs? A lot of municipality, county work you were doing out here?
Well, at first I did a lot of township work, and then I just did farm work.
Farm work, okay.
And then as time went on, we did a little bit of municipal work, and then when my son Mitchell got out of college, he got into the commercial work, and he did a fabulous job.
Well, Mitchell, folks, you maybe saw him on our Machinery Pete TV show. They did an awesome little preview video of the auction August 3rd, and that was Mitchell in the video, talking very proudly about his father, Gary, and what you've built over the years. What was the pace of growth for Reker Construction, starting from one road grader back 45 years ago?
Well, it was slow. We went through the 80s.
Yeah.
Which was really tough farming, and that's basically what we was doing, was farm work. So the 80s were pretty tough, and kind of got into the 90s, and as we went on, we found more work, and our name got known out there, so it just got better as time went on. But when Mitchell come out of college and came back home, he really got her going.
And when Mitchell came back, did you expand the scope of the jobs you were working on a little bit?
Definitely.
Okay.
We went to bigger jobs, bigger volume, bigger, over end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's and how are you feeling personally, Gary, here as you wrap up an amazing 45-year career in the construction business out here in Southwest Minnesota?
Oh, it's going to be a change for me.
Yeah.
I've done this for 45 years, and it's a little hard to let it go, but it's time. You know, the things are changing, and I'm almost 71 years old. I gotta stop sometime.
Well, again, Gary, hats off to what you've built, and thank you serving our country in Vietnam. What year did you go over there?
I was drafted in 1972, and I served from 72 to 74.
72 to 74.
Yep.
And did you go to high school right here in Adrian?
Right. Graduated from high school here.
Okay. Gosh, that must have been something to go from Adrian, Minnesota to Vietnam, huh?
Well, there's never any further west of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, it's a little different.
Wow. Well, again, Gary, thank you for what you did for our country. And what would you say, looking back over your career, 45 years, I mean, for people maybe who are younger looking at the construction business, or frankly any business, just kind of keys to success that you found over the years?
I really I tell people ask me that, and I kind of say I had a lot of luck, you know, and I think luck is a lot of it. I really do, you know. And then if you can get your people, your customers to support you and stay with you,
Yeah.
you know, that means a lot too.
Yeah.
You know,
Thinking of your customers, right?
right. If you can, you know, treat them people right, and they'll come back to you.
Right.
You know, I think that's a lot of the success. But I always say I had a lot of luck.
Well, you're a true Minnesotan there,
Yeah,
Gary. Understated. No, I get it. I love it. That's fantastic. And behind you, Gary, again, this amazing Caterpillar line of equipment. Now, were you always Cat right across the board?
At first, we started with some Terex equipment, and I was a little more familiar with that because I worked for a guy out of Lake Wilson that had Terex equipment. But
Okay.
as time went on, we switched over to Caterpillar, and that was the right thing to do. I mean, we had great service, great equipment.
Right.
It was profitable for us to do that.
Working with the great folks at Ziegler out here.
Right.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a good move to go to Caterpillar.
Cat resale, of course.
And the Cat resale is good, and they've served us well. The equipment Caterpillar equipment has really served us well.
And behind us, dozers, we have, are there 4 or 5?
5 sitting back here, I believe.
And is this one right here your favorite?
This D8T sitting here, that's my favorite.
Okay.
It really is. I really love that dozer.
And what was it about that dozer, Gary, that you love so much?
It's, you know, operator comfort is super in the cab. And it's just a big old beast. Got a lot of horsepower, move a lot of material.
Just a little more material than that Wabco, maybe?
Yeah, a little bit more than that, right? Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, Gary, let's turn here, and we'll just take a walk down line. We have a little visitor, by the way, here, folks. We're just, and also, folks, as you've probably seen if you're in the Midwest here, the bald eagle population has been coming back. And if I pan around, I don't know if it's still there. We had a couple little eaglets. Is that the term for young eagles?
I believe
here?
it is, Pete. Yeah.
I think they took off on us here.
Yeah.
But you've had eagles here for many years?
Oh, probably the last 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not been a lot of years, but
Well,
it's really entertaining.
They just like hanging around Reker construction.
Yeah, right.
There you go. Okay, so we got 5 dozers here.
Yeah.
And now, how many employees did you have here with Reker Construction with this kind of scale?
I think our most would have been like 15.
15 employees.
Yep.
And the last few years with everything going on in the world, I guess, was it difficult to keep employees? And
Yeah, it's hard to keep employees after the COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a different attitude about it. So
yeah,
and there's such a shortage of help right now.
right.
It's
Yeah,
it's just the people are not out here.
right,
You know, when I got out of the military, there had to be 25 of us guys, farm boys,
right,
working construction.
right,
Well, now these kids just are not out here.
right. Like, what was your graduating class size here in Adrian back
I
in
would think it was like 32.
32?
Yep.
Okay. Is Adrian still its own high school, or is
Right.
it paired?
Right.
It's still its own.
It's still its
All
own.
right, independent folks here in Southwest Minnesota, folks.
Yep.
Let's keep walking here a little bit. Again, just a beautiful line, folks. The auction is August 3rd. Jeff Martin Auctioneers, of course, their website, jeffmartinauctioneers.com. Live sale. Gary, I wish I could be here August 3rd. I have a family commitment, but I wanted to be here to watch this beautiful Cat equipment sale. But your son Mitchell was telling me that there'll be a professional photographer out here shooting some video. So we'll get some video for our TV show here. Because again, folks, this is beautiful equipment. Great chance to buy. So yeah, again, I wish I could be here, Gary, but I'm happy it worked out to come out today.
Well, it's really nice talking to you, Pete. I'm sure glad you came out.
Well,
It's been fun.
hey, you mentioned you watch our TV show once in a while, so thank you for that, Gary. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that. Yeah, so wheel loaders, you have how many of those?
There's 4 of them sitting here.
Okay.
Yep.
And the jobs, Reker Construction, like what was your geographic footprint here? How far would you go for jobs?
Oh, we've been all the way over to Albert Lee, down into Iowa, into South Dakota.
Okay,
We've been up north quite a ways. We covered a pretty good area.
nice.
We did.
And we were chatting before we started the video here, Gary, about your love of auctions over the years and the physical, the in-person auction. And was that important to you to have it in person?
It was. It really was. It was always fun to go to these live auctions.
Yeah. And what did you like about it over the years?
You got to talk to people. you know, and you met people, new people that you never knew before.
Right.
You got to talk to your old friends, people that you've known for years. You know, they all come to the auction and we all talk about this and that, and how much work you got and what's this going to bring and
Right.
what condition the stuff is in. You know, it was always enjoyable to go to those auctions.
Right.
And I really missed it when the COVID came and they kind of shut them down. But
Yeah.
so we chose Martin, you know, here because of that reason. You know,
Well, and they kind of give you the best of both. You'll
Right.
have the physical, and then their online bidding is very developed there.
Right.
Folks, if you haven't been to jeffmartinauctioneers.com, check them out. Very growing, dynamic auction company. I think they're up over 12 offices all over the country now, up here in Minnesota. So yeah, we'll keep going here again, folks. But hey, if you're needing some heavy equipment, man, from Reker Construction here, August 3rd, Adrian, Minnesota. Come out to the sale. Have a great time. Get a chance to maybe visit with Gary. And have you been getting, I know the listing hasn't been up super long, but have you been getting some inquiries?
Oh yes, we've had people as far away as Missouri calling already.
Wow.
So there seems to be a lot of interest in it.
Anything in particular, or kind of a mix of all your
Oh,
equipment?
it's a mix of everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been getting some really good phone calls from quite a ways away. So.
And you've been in the business 45 years, buying and trading equipment, so you have a very, very good feel for the market. Anything in particular in demand, you think, right now on yours?
Well,
I've been seeing wheel loaders have been strong, dozers.
Yeah, big wheel loaders are are in demand, and scrapers are in demand.
Yeah.
You know, your bigger dozers.
Okay.
You know, trucks seem to be in a pretty good demand.
And we do have some trucks, folks. We'll get up close to those in a minute as we go by the wheel loaders here. Again, 4 for sale August 3rd. A couple skid steers. Now you worked a couple New Hollands in there.
Yeah.
You got away from Caterpillar there. What's the story there?
Rented a Caterpillar a number of years ago, and I just did not like it.
It wasn't for you.
I just wasn't. But it was when Caterpillars first started making them, so we never tried any at a later date.
Yeah.
But I always liked the New Hollands, and so we just stayed with them.
Right.
We actually have another one that's not on the sale, but
Okay.
the New Holland skid loader is my
Your
favorite
go-to.
skid loader.
Well, I just posted this morning on Facebook, I think an L334 21 model, 25 hours sold yesterday. Where was it? See, this is what I'm talking about, Gary. As I get older, I get more forgetful. I'm getting old and gray and forgetful.
We all do.
But did you buy those skid steers used or new?
New. We bought them new, yes.
Who was the dealer you bought them from?
The 237 come from Sheldon, Iowa,
Okay.
and I believe the other one came from Worthington, Minnesota at that time.
Worthington.
They had a New Holland dealer over there, which is no longer there, but
Yeah.
that's where that one came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll keep walking.
And they service us well.
Yeah. Well, service is huge, isn't it? Kind of everything. Keeping you running when you got to run.
Yep.
And Ziegler was very good for you over the years in a pinch.
Ziegler was fabulous.
Yeah.
I just, they were great, They would take care of you in a heartbeat,
Yeah.
No,
We were talking as we before we started recording, folks. Gary and I were just talking about the importance of personal service, whether it's the auction business, lending, the equipment side, and they just, Ziegler took care of you over the years.
right. I mean, they're part of your success,
Yeah.
They come out and they get this equipment running so you can keep moving dirt, and that's where the money is at.
Right.
So they're part of your success. They really are.
And Gary, while I got you here, talking about working with farm customers over the years. Now you're a farm boy from Adrian here, 45 years in the business. What did you love about working with your farmers out here?
Well, it was easy to relate to them because you grew up on a farm, and you kind of understood when you worked on their land, you understood what they needed because you grew up on a farm. So if there was an erosion problem here or something, you could look that over and you kind of knew what they wanted.
Right.
So it was always easy to work for them.
And they knew you're a local guy. Yeah.
Right.
Love it,
Right.
love it.
Yep.
Okay.
That helped out.
Well, we'll keep walking here, and you can see we've got some excavators, folks. 3 cats there. Boy, excavators have been the auction prices I've been compiling, Gary. There's been a lot of demand on those things. The minis have been just crazy hot. What is that one you have there? That cat? You have a mini excavator here?
Oh yeah, there's a mini excavator
Yep.
here. Yeah, I guess we've had a lot of lookers at that mini excavator.
Okay.
We really have.
Okay.
Yeah, we really have.
And then we have a 160H. We got a road grader. Just big weaponry here, folks. Again, the auction is August 3rd. Adrian, Minnesota. Reker Construction and Aggregate. 45 years in business. Retiring here. And Gary, you said your son Mitchell has been home working with you for what, 10 plus years now?
Oh, 10 to 15 years.
Okay. And well, that's cool. I mean, working with family members, always interesting with family, but you guys have had quite a growth mode the last decade.
Right. Mitchell really got it to take off. And what was great about Mitchell, I got to say this, is when he come home, I really never had to tell him to take over. He just kind of did it. You know, he just kind of took control of the company, and it was easy for me.
Well, you raised him right.
When he came home, it was easy.
Well, that's awesome.
He did a wonderful job. He built this thing up the last 10, 15 years, you know, and it was easy. He made my life easy.
Well, that's a beautiful thing to be able to work with your son that way and build the business. And yeah, fantastic. And again, folks, Mitch was on that video on our Machinery Pete TV show talking about the auction August 3rd. And let's talk about the trucks here as we pivot. So again, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, what can you tell us about these rigs?
Well, the cat's not for sale.
The cat, the cat is not for sale.
The cat's not for sale.
Okay, the cat. I'm gonna zoom in on the cat, folks. And it's beautiful. We got eagles, we got cats, we got visitors. Sometime, Gary, I should do a video, because literally every sale or listing I've ever been to, there's always a farm dog and a cat. And there has to be.
Yeah, he lives out here by himself. Yeah,
Nice.
He does.
Well, he's independent like us Minnesotans here.
right.
Our winters are
That's
long.
right. He stays here all winter long,
There you go.
all by himself. Yep.
So these rigs, again, what can you tell us about them?
The lowboy trucks, you know, they're all nice trucks. These
Yep.
Macs are wonderful trucks. They really are. The two right in front of us here have automatic transmissions in them. When we first bought them, I thought I would never like an automatic, but they're just fun to drive.
You thought you would never like an automatic.
I didn't. I was the old, got to move that stick around type guy, you know.
Yeah.
And you put them in drive in the morning, and that's where they're at until you bring them home at night.
Well, us old dogs, we can learn new tricks, can't
yes.
we? Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Yep. And the two lowboy trucks, them are 18 speeds.
Okay.
Number 17 here's got a big 600 plus Cummins in it.
Nice.
And 16 there, that's got a regular back motor in it. But them are great lowboy trucks. This 17's really got some power to it.
Okay.
Great trucks, they are.
And do we have a couple of service? Are those on the auction too?
Yep.
The service pickups. And
Yep.
we got a Ford and a GMC there.
Yeah, we had to deal with employees. One wanted a Ford, and one wanted a GMC. So
You were
I guess
facilitating employees.
That's what we did.
That's quite a boss there, Gary, to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, thank you so much for giving us the walkthrough here. And again, folks, do yourself a favor, check out the auction August 3rd. Jeff Martin, auctioneers.com. And again, I wish I could be here. I'll be here in spirit with you on August 3rd, Gary.
That's great.
And I'm looking forward to the video of the sale. And again,
All right.
hats off to the business you built and the way you ran it, and helping our farmers and the communities out here. Beautiful thing.
All right. Thanks, Pete. Thanks for coming out.
And folks, here I'm with Mitchell Reker, son of Gary. And Mitchell, hey, first of all, thank you for your great help with that awesome video with Jeff Martin Auctioneers on our Machinery Pete TV show. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
And you were talking about your dad and the upcoming retirement sale August 3rd. And you could tell there was a Minnesota level, understated level of pride. And what can you tell us about your dad and the business he built over the decades?
Well, it's always been customer facing. I can tell countless stories of the bill's not going to work for that customer. We got to do something about it. He always thought about what they could handle, what they could do, what they needed, what was best for them, even if they didn't necessarily know it at the time.
Sure.
Was always customer facing and thinking about the customer first.
Okay. And you've been back, I mean, you grew up around the business.
Yes. Yep.
As a little guy.
Yep.
Let's start there. What do you remember when you were a little guy and your dad was building the business about those days?
Well, from the time I was about 5, 6 years old, I just rolled out of bed. If I didn't have to go to school, I was going to work. Nobody had to wake me up. Didn't need an alarm clock. I got out and I went right out to the shop. I'd be out there at 6:15 with the rest of the guys. And story I always like to tell is back in the early 90s when I was 5, 6 years old, I must have overslept one day and decided I was going to stay sleeping. And Dad came into the room and saw that I was still asleep and thought, well, he doesn't need to be here and must want to sleep in. So just left me. And that time you always had your two-way radios that were on the counter of the house. It was before cell phones. So I remember I went over to that Motorola two-way radio. It was a big clunky thing, and I picked that up and I pressed that black button on the side of it. I said, I don't know who's going to come back here and get me, but someone is going to come back here and get me. And I'm going to work. I kind of knew that I probably was in a little bit of trouble for doing that. And I hung around, and somebody probably said, copy, or I'll be back, or whatever. And I hung around the yard, and pickup rolled into the yard, and his dad's pickup, a red Chevy like he always drove. And I got in the passenger seat kind of expecting I was probably going to get a talking to, and he just looked over and he says, don't ever do that again.
There you go.
So that's how involved I was. You couldn't keep me away from it.
So you grew up in it, Mitchell, and then just the last, 10 to 15 years you've been back in the business?
Yes. I went to College of Engineering at SDSU, got a construction management degree.
You're a jackrabbit.
Yes.
That's a great engineering school out there.
Yeah, it hit it at a perfect time, had the perfect faculty, the perfect students to collaborate, people that I talk to daily to this day, made a great network, learned a ton. Did an internship with a large construction company, gained a ton of valuable knowledge, and then decided, okay, this is something I want to be involved in. So came back on my own terms, got to make the decision of, okay, I want to be back, and assumed management pretty much right away because I had all those years of experience, and I knew all the customers, I knew all the employees, I knew what needed to be done, I had the administration skills. So from about the time I got out of college, I was operations manager very quickly.
Okay. And this beautiful line of equipment selling August 3rd, Mitchell, can you tell us, you guys, Reker Construction here, kind of your history of care for machinery and your guys' maintenance programs, things like that?
Absolutely. One of the biggest things I always said was, if it's got an oil leak, I mean, you won't find anything that's going to have more than a shot glass full of oil that leaks out of it in a 24-hour period. If there's an oil leak, you fix it. You're going to fix it eventually. So if there's a leaky hose, if there's a leaky O-ring, just fix it. Get it fixed. That was our policy on everything. If the light switch went bad, you fix the light switch. And what I always said is, even on the older line equipment, that's the stuff that's been paid for years. If you can't afford to maintain your older pieces, what do you have them for? So there's not a machine out here in this lineup that you're going to get into and it's not going to look like the day it came off the production line. There's not going to be anything missing. There's not going to be any decals missing. It was always kept like new, because if you've had it, those are the ones that you should be able to care for even more.
Love it. Do it right, do it now.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Now we'll switch gears just a little bit here, Mitchell. On a personal level, what's it been like working with Pop here these last since you came back into the business?
Been great. He was, at first maybe, he had to get the trust of, okay, can he do it? You always worry, is your parent going to be like that helicopter parent that's never going to let you make any decisions, anything like that? And you maybe had some periods of that at the very beginning, but once I proved myself, it was just go. And it's been a good testament to me how many people, when they saw what we were doing with the retirement, they called and they said, well, retirement, are you retiring? They said, no, I'm not personally retiring, my dad is. And so many of them said, well, who's he? I've never met him. And that was good for me, that he gave me the trust that these were big customers, big engineers, big contracts that we did, and the people had never heard his name, never met him, and that was the level of trust that he gave me. Was to just go out and get it done. So that's why it worked. I mean, if we would have been bumping heads, it would have never worked. So I really appreciate that he was always trusting of me to just go out and do it.
I love it, Mitchell. And hey, thank you for your time. Again, thank you for the help with the preview video on the TV show. And thank you for your time being here today, telling us about the business, the equipment, working with Pop. Again, folks, the sale is August 3rd, jeffmartinauctioneers.com. And you guys are going to get a little video for me at the auction, Mitchell?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thanks.
Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.